In this video, I'm going to break down the exact system that a school like yours used to finally reach their growth targets for the first time in 20 years. 20 years! That's a long time, and it's not as complicated as you might think. Many school leaders think that in order to meet growth targets, they need to adopt some kind of new curriculum or overhaul their PLC or any number of complicated things, when in reality, it might just be something a whole lot simpler. So first, imagine with me that you're at a networking conference or maybe some kind of job fair where you're trying to recruit people to come teach at your school. And every person that you talk to initially seems like they might be a good fit, but as you start talking, they seem a little distracted, maybe a little disinterested and put off. And this happens all throughout the day until someone hands you a mirror and you realize you've had spinach in your teeth, and not like a little piece, like a big one. For many of us, we unfortunately are letting our teachers walk around with figurative spinach in their teeth, and nobody's telling them, and they don't have a way to see it for themselves. You may have been here where it feels like nothing you're doing is getting you any closer to your learning goals. You've tried different professional development tricks, you've tried new curriculum, new programs, but nothing seems to get you any closer. The result is stagnating scores and teacher burnouts, maybe even high turnover rates where you continually have to hire new teachers. But what if instead of implementing a new curriculum or overhauling the instructional practices at your school, you just handed teachers a mirror? A way for them to see in their own private practice what's working and what isn't working, and to get objective, non-evaluative feedback so they know exactly what the next steps should be. Now, that's exactly what the school leaders did at Neal Middle School. And for the first time in 20 years, they hit their growth targets. Think about that, 20 years. That could be a teacher's entire career, never seeing growth targets and then finally achieving it. That is something that I'd say is worth it. And the best part is that it wasn't a big thing. What they did was they gave their teachers a zero stakes learning environment. I got this idea because I was listening to a TED Talk about this concept called the Super Mario effect. The reason why that game is so successful is because there's no penalty for falling in a pit. You fall in a pit, you start the level over, and the next time you remember that there was a pit there. And you try to beat your score and get to the flag at the end of the course. Along the way, because you do it so often, you find all the hidden tricks, the hidden coins, the one-ups, power-ups. All of these things come because there's no pressure for failure. Even if you lose all of your lives in Mario, you just start over again. So really, there's no pressure or negative consequence in an environment like that. So how can we give that kind of experience to our teachers? How did they do it at Neal Elementary and for the first time in 2 decades hit their growth targets? Well, they used Sibme. Sibme is something that you may be familiar with as an evaluation tool, but it's also incredibly helpful to give teachers an opportunity to grow and reflect on their own practice on their own time. So here's the system that Neal Middle School used. They invited their teachers to record a 15-minute segment of them teaching. The other neat thing about Sibme is that teachers don't even have to watch the video to get the data from the video. Sibme uses AI to read through the transcript and watch the video to provide some really useful targeted feedback. Teachers can interact with the data from their video recording and get suggestions on next steps or where to improve. In essence, figuring out where the pit was that they fell into and how to avoid it the next time. They could do this as many times as they want, and the videos that they recorded were kept private in their own workspace and not shared with administrators. They weren't shared with coaches, and it was just for them to practice. And the cool thing that happened is that as teachers started doing this more and more and more, guess what? They fell in the pit a whole lot less. And they were able to fix all of the problems, and for the first time in 20 years, meet the growth targets that they've been trying to achieve. The best part of all of this isn't that teachers were now practicing independent self-reflection and designing their own improvement plans, but that the feedback they were getting wasn't just general good ideas from an AI chatbot. They were specific for their school's own goals. In Sibme, you are able to attach specific frameworks for your school, for your district, and anytime a teacher records a video, they can interact with the data from that video against the frameworks and goals that you've uploaded, meaning that what teachers are working on are exactly what you want them to be working on. So with all of this, what you end up with is a culture at your school where teachers are reflective, where they're purposeful, and the choices that they're making in instruction and design are targeted based on your school goals, your district frameworks. And growth happens quickly when the right stuff is measured and when we know what's going on. When we know there's a pit, or when we know we've got spinach in our teeth, we can do something about it. Think about the most challenging goal that you are facing right now with your school. You know, that one area where things just keep seeming to fall a little bit short. What would it feel like to finally reach it? This is what we do at Sibme. We're teachers and coaches, school leaders, empowering schools all around the world with the tools that they need to make sure that every moment is a teachable moment.
Chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see it through.